I'm already like in my head, like giving up, like, or my body is giving up. And then I'm like, you know what? Stop being a little bitch, like we're going to hit like five reps go, 5 sets go by. And then I'm like, okay, I can do this last set.
One more,
6,
last set, best set.
one
Yeah.
last. So like by the end, I'm like dead. We're lying down on the ground and we're lying in sweat and we're just kind of like, oh my God, we did it. And I think that's one thing I would encourage a lot of people. Like that's one of the best things about exercising is like mentally it makes you just tougher because you got to battle yourself.
Yeah.
Yourself, no one
Yeah.
else.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Enjoy Your Stay. Today's guest is the one and only Sarah Camacho. In this episode, we talk about her many athletic pursuits, including jiu-jitsu and working out. We discuss the art of showing up and how having an accountability partner can help keep you going. If you're enjoying the show, please like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, and follow Enjoy Your Stay on Instagram. All of the links will be in the show notes. And now, here's my conversation with Sarah. What are some things that you find interesting?
Okay. Well, there's quite a few things that I find interesting and I can get really deep into my thoughts and my interests, but I'll just keep it a little bit short today. I One of my things that I've really found interesting as of late, like of these recent years, is the human body. Because I'm a mom, right? So I've
Mhm.
I've created and given life into this world. So like just going through that whole process 4 times, it's like every time I go through it, I'm learning more and more about myself, my connections with my children, how I am during pregnancy, how that affects my children, even after giving birth, how my human body is still connected to their body and how it's still cohesive. Um, and I'm just kind of like, when I have a TikTok account
Mhm.
and I use TikTok for educational purposes, I feel like TikTok is very unfiltered in comparison to other,
Like
social
other
media platforms.
platforms? Yeah.
So I always like to browse through like experiments or CIA documents and stuff like that, right? So
Mhm.
I know that there has been experiments on like the human body, right? And I can't remember. I tried looking this up before I got on this podcast to help like further answer this question. But in a nutshell, there have been experiments about how like blood taken from my body, for example, is put into a vial and then I'm put in a room and I like watch like a comedy,
Mhm.
right? So when for those of you who don't know, like when laughter is medicine. So when you are happy, when you're in good spirits, for your overall health, it's really good for you. And so in this one specific experiment, they introduce like a virus to this vial of my blood, right?
Mhm.
And in the other room, I'm watching a funny movie. What happens to my body affected that blood. Right? So, there was a
Interesting.
virus that was introduced to the blood, and then I watched a happy movie, I was happy, and that helped attack the virus. My blood was
Oh,
attacking the
yeah.
virus in the vial, right? So and then opposite too, they did the same experiment, they put, like, the virus in the blood, and then they made me watch, like, a scary movie, right? And, like, of course, if you watch something that scares you, it affects your health, right? So then
Mhm.
the virus in the blood was attacking the blood cells, right? So when I see stuff like that, it kind of makes me understand, my children carry my blood, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So if mommy and daddy are happy and we're in good spirits, that affects my children as well, right? So
Mhm.
I just find those things like so fascinating because then it just makes me focus a little bit more and being more intentional with what I put in my body,
Mhm.
um, what I expose myself to, what I listen to, what I watch, because of course, like not only do I want the best for my health, but also the health of my children. So those are like really interesting things that I find fascinating. And
Yeah.
then, you know, eh, that can go further into other things like frequencies and like
Kind
vibrations
of the
and
energy of things.
the energy of things, the consciousness,
Mhm.
what I put into my mind, what I think about. And I'm kind of like like every year I feel like I'm like evolving, right? Like I'm learning a
Mhm.
little bit more about myself, about my potential. And, like I'll have moments, after pregnancy of like postpartum and stuff like that. And like just really trying to understand what's going on within my body and
Mhm.
how I help myself, right? Because if mommy is not strong, it affects the whole household, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I've learned a little bit more about like the power of the mind and words and meditation and focusing on what I want for myself. And so, like, just really being intentional with my thoughts. Like when
Mhm.
I wake up in the morning, I'm intentional with what I put into my body, what I listen to. And so I see the output of that. I see when I say good things to myself, I see the outcome of that, right? And then that translates into how I treat my children, how I treat my husband. And at the end, it's always like a positive thing, So
Yeah, it's like a net positive.
yeah, it really
Mhm.
is. Like for example, um, I had a child a year and a half ago, and postpartum is real. And
Mhm.
you look in the mirror and you don't really see yourself. You don't recognize yourself. You're not only appearance, but your attitude and everything. And I've, of course, I come across like information about words and the consciousness and the power of the mind. So I'm like, I'll sit there and I'll recite things to myself like, I'm beautiful, I am powerful, I'm confident. And I will
Mhm.
say that every day, every day, every day. And even though I don't feel it, it's like the more I say it, the more my body believes it. And then the more I become, right? So,
Mhm.
I went from, like, being very, like, down on myself, not very confident, didn't look in the mirror and feel beautiful, despite my husband telling me the opposite.
Yeah.
It was kinda like, I need to I feel a certain way and I really don't like it, and then the more I told myself these things and really focus my mind on where I wanna see myself, it was like I was transforming myself
Mhm.
into the person that I wanted to be. All through words, of course, actions, and just being intentional with my days. And so that was really interesting, and
Yeah.
I feel like that is uh like something that I've discovered newly within myself. And I'm really trying to teach that to my children, like
Mhm.
when they say something negative about themselves, oh, I'm so dumb. I'm like, don't say that. Never say that. Don't let your
Yeah.
body hear those words because words are things and what you tell your body's gonna believe, so you gotta tell yourself, "Oh, I'm smart. I can do this.
Mhm.
I'm strong," and it's they think it's kinda weird, but then they see me do it, like, I'll
Mom
be
just being
driving and I'll just
mom.
start saying things, they're just kinda looking at me, and then I'm like, "No, look, come on, let's say it with me," and it's just
Like, all
kinda like
together, yeah.
yeah, I know it sounds weird, but, that's the kinda stuff that I find very interesting because I see the output of it.
Yeah.
I see how I'm transforming. I see how it affects my children and my family and, it's a positive thing. So, I'm so fascinated. I'm fascinated with the body, I'm fascinated with the mind, I'm fascinated with all the frequencies around it. It's if anything, I'm like fascinated with everything that no one's teaching us. Like
Mm. Yeah.
you're not gonna read this in your science book or
Yeah.
in history,
Mhm.
like everything that you don't if anything, I search for things that you won't be taught?
Yeah. It's that
So,
continued learning.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I know that's kind of like a complicated, like, response to a question like that, but those
No,
are,
not
like,
at
I
all.
guess, in recent months or recent years, those are things that I've just kind of been being a little bit more interested in,
Mhm.
and when I come across information, I don't just like, "Oh, that's weird." I'm like, "Wait, hang on.
Just
Let me
dismiss
let
it,
me
yeah.
let me read a little bit more because I
Yeah.
I understand what this means because I've tried this and it
Mhm.
works?" So,
Yeah.
anyways, I don't know if you're
That's
like to that kind of
no, no.
stuff.
No, no, no. That's first off, there's no wrong answers to any of the questions about the with the podcast. There completely unique to you, and they can, like I was saying before, they can definitely change kind of throughout your life, right? I
Mhm.
do really quick want to go back to that experiment with like the blood and the vial and
Mhm.
like being
Yeah.
in the other room. You were kind of saying, or you were saying like they had took my blood and all this stuff. Just to confirm, this was an experiment you were learning about that somebody else had done, not an
Yes,
experiment
yes,
you
yes, yes.
personally did. Oh, okay. Just
Yeah,
making
yeah,
sure
yeah,
because
yeah,
for
yeah,
a
yeah.
second I
I'm
was
just
like,
like, for
wait.
example,
Ah,
if
okay,
someone
gotcha.
took my
Okay.
blood,
Got
sorry,
it, got
sorry,
it.
just
No, no, you're
thanks for
good, you're good. I think I
clarifying.
might have missed that, but just wanted to make sure that because I was gonna ask, like, where did you get this done? And, that because doing it yourself, I think would be a completely different thing than just like obviously like reading or watching about it.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be
but
so
with everything you had mentioned, there's a few things that really kind of resonated with me, which is one, just sort of the connectedness we have, not just internally, but how that really extends outward, right, to your husband, right, to your kids, and even beyond that, right, can also extend to family, friends, and just kind of anyone you meet.
yeah,
Um, it's one of those things where, for a lot of the stuff that's out there, it's really, kind of set the example, like in terms of kids, right?
right,
Set the example for your kids. Be the kind of person you want your kids to be, right? And lead by
yeah,
example, not by instruction or by words. But what you're saying is almost a different version of that, of like on like a chemical level, we're all connected, you know what I mean? And if
yeah,
you're going even further into like the frequencies and the energies that we're all putting out,
yeah,
I think that's also again not something that's super common. Well, I think it's getting more of the spotlight now, which is nice. People are really kind
yeah,
of getting more into it.
yeah,
But I mean, otherwise, I think it's cool that you're like you were saying, it's not really taught in like a science book. You don't really learn this in school, but you take it upon yourself to just have that continued education and do this not just for yourself, but for your kids. It does also sort of give you a reason to take care of yourself
yeah,
and not just give, give, give and pour out from your cup, but to also sort of make sure that like there's no cracks, you know what I mean, in the cup, and that you can continue to do this and not get so burnt out and just, if anything, you know, resentful, right? But
yeah.
it's nice that you've done that. It's nice that you really involve the kids, right, with driving in the car and telling them like say these affirmations as well, because it is powerful. And I think it is true, with what you pay attention to, whether it's just to yourself or it's the content or the things you consume food wise, content wise, social media, it does make a big difference. It does shape who you are. And the last thing I will say is it's nice because what you're saying, it sort of gives a lot of the power in the individual, right? Of like, yeah, I might not think I look all that great or I don't feel all that great postpartum. But if I just continue to tell myself, even if I don't believe it and I think I'm the exact opposite, eventually, you'll sort of kind of get out of that. And I think that's awesome. You just kind of give that
Yeah.
sense of like autonomy and all of that. So great
It's
answer.
it's crazy how real it is. It really
Hmm.
is, because in the beginning, when I was saying all these things, I did not believe it. What like,
Yeah.
at all. I would look in the mirror and cry, my husband will come in and he'd be like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Ah, don't look at me, I'm so ugly," just
Hmm.
completely opposite of the words that I was telling myself, but I'm like, "No, I'm just gonna keep telling myself this," and then gradually, 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 whether it's because I'm exercising or I have more energy to take care of myself, regardless of what it is, I was becoming what I was saying.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
eh, it's like it could be just because, oh, I just needed more time for my body to heal. Whatever it is.
Hmm.
Whatever it is. The words were making a difference, and I was just lifting myself up gradually, gradually, gradually every day. And that's really all I needed? So,
Yeah.
and then of course you can go into like how your mind, like what you focus on, right? Like Frank and I are
Hmm.
really on this where what we put our mind to, we will achieve. Like if we just take out everything else, and focus on the prize, there's no way we can't reach it.
Yeah.
Like if we really do everything we need to do and we think about it and we focus on it and we do all the work that we need, there's no way. there's no
Mhm.
way we're not gonna achieve our goal, you know,
Yeah.
especially with as a team, you know, we're both so focused and, you know, we're doing what we need to do. It's like we're such believers and you what you put your mind to, you will achieve, you know? And
Mhm.
the power of law of attraction and everything in that sense, right? So
Yeah.
these are all things that I find so fascinating. I find it so
Yeah.
fascinating because it's things that I'm learning in my adult life. I was
Mhm.
not taught any of this. I mean, maybe the power of prayer, which is along the same lines, right? Like
Mhm.
you pray for the things that you want, for health and love and all these things. The same thing, right? Like you're speaking it, you're asking God, which I believe in, and you know,
Mhm.
it's even more power. And then you hold hands with other people, and you know, you're just elevating that frequency. And you know, I'm just like, things are clicking. Things are clicking
Yeah.
in my adult life where I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Oh, I believe it. Oh, you know, and then of course, everyone doing the right thing. You know, instead of like, if you keep on making good decisions in life, there's gonna be I mean, positive consequences for it, right? So God will
Yeah.
continuously bless you if you do the right thing, and then there's your goal, you know? It's like it's right there. But
Yeah.
if you want something and yet you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, you're just kinda like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and no, for sure. Yeah, it doesn't line up. It's interesting too with what you're saying, right? With these words of affirmation, right? How powerful they are, and even though you didn't believe it at that time, eventually you did kind of start to become that person, right?
Yeah.
And it's cool because I think the more, just like any habit, right? You're kind of you're sort of greasing this groove, right? And really ingraining certain things. And so the more you do it and just tell yourself like I can do this, or whatever it might be, the more you almost, I think there becomes a point where you do start to believe it, right? If
Yeah,
what you're saying to yourself matches, or if the rather if the work that you put in matches what you say, right? Because like to your point of, you could say all these things and have all these goals, but if like the work, the effort doesn't match, there's no way
yeah.
you're going to get it. It's just a bunch of talk. But
Yeah.
I think if those two things line up, there does come a point where you do almost start to believe it about yourself. Like, I'm
Mhm.
somebody who's strong. I'm somebody who can handle things. I'm somebody that is smart. And then because of that, like identity shift almost, you then kind of hold this to yourself of like, well, I think to be this person, so I'm not going to let myself down by doing the opposite. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
going to continue to do the things that this person does, whether it's a physical goal or whatever it is, a business goal. So I
Mhm.
think that's interesting. And again, it just speaks to how much you believe in it, because just earlier you're saying, you and Frank, whatever you guys put your mind to, you're gonna get it done. You know what I mean? Whatever goals you guys have, if you can sort of just cut out the fluff and just kind of figure out what you need to do, there's no way you're not gonna get it done.
Yeah.
Speaking to what you're saying, right? So that's awesome. It's cool too that again, the whole family's in on it. The kids, Frank, everybody. So that's cool. What are
Yeah.
some other things you find interesting?
Other things that I find interesting is, history.
Okay.
And I'm not really, you know, I like history when I read it in history books, but I also too am super skeptic of who put that information in books.
Mm,
I am so that person to just question everything.
hmm.
But I also love to travel. And I went to Italy. Before I gave birth, I went to Italy for a wedding, and we went to Milan. And just in the heart of Milan, there's all these buildings and like a massive cathedral made out of marble, like just insane, just
Hmm.
massive, insane, intricate, all these details. And I'm like, does anyone here believe this was built with a hammer and chisel? Like, is that what that's what they're telling us? That's what they're telling
Yeah.
us, right? And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way this was built with hammer and chisel, and they're not gonna tell us how this was built. I feel like there's so much. I mean, this is just an example, right? You just go freaking down to Rhoda and you see the massive laddie grooves there where the
Hmm.
Rhoda has the biggest laddie, but they're still in the ground. They're carved in the ground. They haven't been elevated.
Hmm.
And then if you go to Tinian, we have the biggest erected laddie stones. They're like, I think I want to say 20 feet tall. And there was a whole line of them at House of Taga, but they were destroyed during the war. Anyways, there's no explanation as to how those things were carved out and moved from where they were located, right? So it's like
Mhm.
I know Frank was telling me that there's like a legend that there was a little boy with a magic fork and he like hit the fork and then it would raise the laddie stone and move it around, right? Like that's what they tell us legend. But in the history
Yeah.
book, it's not even in the history books, like those are the things that I find interesting. Like, I'm like, how did
Mhm.
that happen? Like, what kind of alien technology was used? Like
Yeah.
what kind of powers do humans have? Like, all of us have that we're just not being told these things. Like, they're not telling us about the power of mind. They're not telling us about like how we can self heal and stuff like that, right? Like, these are all things
Mhm.
kept from our books. What else are they keeping from us? Like, how did we be able to do this? How did we build these pyramids? How did we build these structures? Like, just down the street at our Tinian and Rhoda, like, we had the capabilities, but none of that, we don't have access to that knowledge. Why? You know?
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things that I find so fascinating. That's why every time
Mhm.
I travel, I like to go to see old structures. I'm like, "Ooh, this is so cool. How did they build this?" Or like, "Look at that." Like
Mhm.
I am that person. I'll go to the museums, I'll go to the big castles, I will like go and listen to, the history of the king and the queen. Like I am like, "Oh my gosh." I like to study different cultures whenever I go. And then I'm like, I find similarities with like Chamorros and Asians. And
Mhm.
I've been to India. I went to India for a wedding. So that was cool. And like, I just like to travel, learn about cultures, learn about these like crazy like structures. And then I'm like, okay, well, how did they tell you it was built? And then I hear it. I'm like, well, crazy, like those are the
Yeah.
things. I like to question everything because it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Do you
Yeah.
believe do you believe it? Like, am I the only one? Am I crazy? So
Yeah. Mhm.
it's
It's
kinda like that. That's what I find
yeah.
fascinating.
No, I think that's awesome. I think it's cool that, you don't just when you travel, you don't just go if especially if it's like a completely new place, you don't just go and do all the like touristy things, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to figure out like you're trying to learn about the culture, you're trying to learn about the locals and the history of wherever you're at, Milan, India, whatever it might be. And it's cool because bigger picture, right? Like whether you're from Guam or you're any of the islands or you're from, somewhere in Europe or Asia or wherever, at the same time, we're all inhabiting the same earth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're all on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same planet. And so, yes, we can be very different in terms of location geographically and culture and history and things like that. But like, we're all a part of the same human race. And the fact that so many different parts of the world, completely different time periods, all came up with something of their own that's just breathtaking, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, it does make you kind of wonder like how are the pyramids made? How was
yeah,
this huge cathedral actually like built? You know what I mean? Like what
yeah,
was and maybe part of it because it's so old, maybe part of it's just kind of lost, because of like, lack of documentation or whatever it might be, right? A lot of stuff is like word of mouth, right? Like
mhm.
traditionally. And so maybe that's part of it, but still, you know what I mean? If that happened now without using the technologies of today, I think it would just blow everyone's mind. So
Yeah.
I think it's
It blows
cool.
my
I think it's
mind all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
All
Yeah,
the
I think it's really cool. I think it's cool that you're into those things. Um, I've seen some of your stuff, seen you online and all that, and I've makes sense because of, you being with Frank for all these years, but I've seen you sort of really doing your thing in terms of jujitsu and stuff. So I wanted to talk to you if you're okay with that. I'd love to just kind of pick your brain a bit and kind of get to know how you've gotten into all of that. So what was what was the thing that got you into training?
Okay, so my husband, he's the head kid instructor at Purebred,
Mhm.
and my 2 boys, they do jujitsu, they're in his class. And so I had given birth, and prior to that, I would drop off my 2 boys to school, and then after school, I'd take them to basketball, then after basketball, I'd take them to jujitsu, and then jujitsu, they're there for 2, sometimes 3 hours, and then they come home at night at, like, 8 o'clock, right? And then I'm cooking dinner, and then they eat dinner, and then if they're still awake, they still have to do homework, and then they go
Yeah.
to sleep, right? So I don't
Mhm.
get to see my kids from 6:37 till like 8 o'clock at night every
Mhm.
day, every day, every day. And so I was like, man, I want to spend more time with my family. I'm tired of like blinking and then they're like an inch taller, you know? So I'm like, okay, you know what? My kids, my family, my whole family, like my daughter started doing jujitsu. So that's three of my kids and my husband. They're in the gym. My baby's a little bit old enough to like walk around. Like maybe I can just have her on the side of the mat. Let me try. Let me try and just get
Mhm.
in the class so I can be in the environment with my family. Because otherwise I'm like outside, you know? So that was the reason why I got into jujitsu because I just missed being with my family. They're just in the gym all day, especially my
Yeah.
husband. And so I jumped into my husband's teens class, right? He was teaching teens. And I'm like, man, babe, can I just jump into your class? Like, yeah, they're teenagers, but like about the same size, it should be
Mhm.
fine. And so I
Yeah.
just jumped in and then I got one of my mom friends that sits on the side with me too to like jump in with me. And then my sister. And then so we started like a little like mom's crew in Frank's teens
Oh,
class.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice, okay.
So that's kind of how it started. I started last year, like maybe exactly a year ago.
Oh,
Um
okay.
and but at that time, I was just trying it out, and then I was also doing, like, flag football, and maybe at the time there was basketball season. I just like to play sports. I just if
Mhm.
anything, that's my me time, like, I get to do something for myself, I get to hang out
Mhm.
with my team, I get to meet new people, compete. So, I didn't do jujitsu full time, like, I stopped doing all the other sports until last June. So last June, I was like, okay, I'm gonna dedicate my my week to training jujitsu because I want to try competing. You know,
Mm.
I think I want to try. I think I want to try doing a competition. So
Mhm.
um, when I made that decision, I think there was a competition October. So July, August. It was like 4 months, right? I'm like, I think I
Mhm.
can do it. Yeah. So that's kind of how that whole thing started. And, Frank is an amazing instructor. He's just amazing. Of course, I'm going to say that he's my husband, but he's
Yeah.
just like, um, he's very, his form of teaching is very like fight. It's very like he doesn't get you into the mindset of like, okay, we're gonna drill and we're gonna learn a position. That's very like
Mm.
traditional jujitsu. Like he's like, hey, if you're in a street fight and someone is gonna pick you up and slam you, you're gonna die. So your mentality is to like, I'm gonna put you in a position and you have to do what you can to get out, you know?
Mm.
So
Yeah,
then
yeah.
so he gives us a game. Okay, you're in this position and then now I need you to get into this position. And so he'll just make us do it and I'm like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" And he's like, "Just figure it out." So like at first
Mm.
I'm like,
Mhm.
"Why isn't he telling me like choking me out? Of course she's going to choke me out. Like I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing, but like gradually, 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 gradually like you start figuring it out naturally. And then he'll come in and be like, "Okay, so the reason why this isn't working, like just adjust this." And then I'm like, "Oh,
Mm. Mhm.
okay." So then
Yeah.
so you're learning kind of naturally your instinctual technique, and then
Mhm.
he'll adjust it. Instead of like, "Okay, now you need to grab here, and then the 45-degree angle, you pull
Oh,
here,
okay.
and then
Yeah,
flip."
just very
You know?
technical.
I'm like, I can't think like that, like, because
Mhm.
maybe I'll learn it and then, like, off to the next move, I have to remember this move, like, "Wait, hang on, time out?" So, that's kind of why I didn't, do jujitsu before because that's a lot of technical, moves you gotta constantly remember as
Mhm.
you're learning 5 other moves the next week, so I was always enjoying playing like basketball or something else
Yeah.
over jujitsu. But my husband he like developed like this new technique that he learned from one of his former teammates of having to like just kind of let the student try and then you adjust from there, you know? So it
Yeah.
was cool. And then he like when I say fight, it's like uh it's very like there isn't really drilling. It's like the whole time it's competition. Like class
Mm,
you're so exhausted. It's constant. It's a constant like movement,
just
constant
always
energy.
going. Yeah.
Constant it's like wrestling camp. I don't know if you
Mhm.
even understand what that means, but it's just very intense. So,
Yeah.
I really enjoy it, and, uh, fortunately, I was able to do pretty well in my first 2 competitions because, like, it's just I'm so used to just it being so chaotic that competition is like chaos, you know? So I wasn't, like, in
Mhm.
foreign territory, and I just
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, you kind of practice how you play, right? Sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
I like
There's
that.
never it's constant chaos, so
Mhm.
being thrown into a match is like, "Okay, well, I've done this
This is
like a
just
million
another
times."
day. Yeah, another
Yeah.
session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just a little
Okay,
bit
cool.
scarier, you know, but
Yeah, just a bigger stage
cool.
maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. More eyes on you, right? But that's
Right,
cool.
yeah.
I like that he gives you not just you, but he gives his students really that space to play and explore and kind of figure it out on your own. And then
Yeah.
if you can, or if he notices, just because I don't know, obviously I don't know Frank, but just being a fan and stuff, I can imagine his eye for things is so, sharp, right? Or sharp, I should say. But
Yeah.
is so sharp and he can see like, "Oh, I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Move this like a little bit and then you'll actually get, you'll get to where you want to go." And so I like that. It's kind of like, it's the difference between like going to a park with your kids and letting them just kind of play and do whatever versus being
Mhm.
like, "Okay, so we're going to do like 5 minutes on the monkey bars and then another 5 minutes on the swing and the side," and then it's like, then it's not really fun. It's just another to-do list, you know?
Yeah.
Not to say that there's not room or a space for structure or things like that and drilling. Um, I can't speak too much because I don't do jiu-jitsu, so I don't know anything, but this is outside looking in, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it's cool though that he does give you that space to just figure it out. And
Yeah.
that also sounds kind of old school Chamorro of like, just figure it out. You know what I mean? Just kind of
Just
you'll figure it out.
let me try and do it, you know, like,
Yeah, 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 exactly.
what do
Exactly.
you
It was easy, right? It was easy. Yeah.
That's easy.
So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Cool. Have you always been into just sports in general your whole life?
I have always been super active. I grew up my childhood was in the 90s. Okay, so I grew up outside, playing outside, and I was really close to my brother. So any sport that he played, I played, and he's super athletic. So I was the little brother he never had.
Mhm,
Um, but I didn't. I went to a Christian school, so and they didn't play interscholastic sports. So I didn't get that opportunity through middle school and high school to play or to train with like coaches and play
mhm.
and compete. Like I miss that. And I'm it makes me sad, but it's okay. It's all right. So when I got out of high school, I started playing in these leagues and I was like miles behind. But I still came and I still showed up and I still, I did all the open courts and I joined the teams and I just continued that until today. And thank God I got better,
Mhm. Yeah.
but I did enjoy it as a child. I played, outside in the village and pick up ball at
Yeah.
wherever and, get my ass whooped, and but I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed it all the time. But in my like, just in recent years, I started picking up flag football and soccer, with,
Oh,
like,
wow.
no previous history aside from, like, throwing and kicking balls in the backyard with my brother.
Yeah, just kind of recreationally.
Just yeah, just for fun,
Mm.
the cousins, and, I picked it up pretty fast, and, I really enjoy it, and I've done pretty well, do a few touchdowns here and there, and kick a few goals,
All
it's fun.
right.
It's like, "Oh, yeah, I
This
totally
way,
got"
yeah.
like, I'm getting older and still learning about myself, which is so
Right.
fun. But, I think that really, uh, like goes to show like staying in shape and taking care of my body like pays off, you know? So
Hmm.
these are the things and joys that I get to experience because I invest in staying strong and healthy. You know, I can move still. Like still I can
Yeah.
experiment with what my body is capable of, which is so cool. And I'm learning that too with jujitsu. Like, you know, when I can now double leg people, you know, and choke someone out. So like
There you go. All
I'm like, "Okay,
right.
what else can I do?" You know, like
Mhm. Yeah, that's
it's
cool. It's yeah, from everything you've talked about so far, I've noticed really the common theme for what you've said is showing up and staying consistent, right? And this even goes back to the sort of the postpartum, the affirmation thing, right? Of like saying like I'm beautiful, I'm strong, all these things. And even though you don't believe it, right? In the same way of starting, sports as kind of like an adult, right? You said you're miles behind. Showing up every day to the practice, not quitting and saying your affirmations every day, right?
Mhm,
The gap between kind of where you want to be and where you're currently at starts to sort of lessen because you're sticking with it. And so from me, from everything you've said, it sounds like you really embody, showing up and like I said, just being consistent, just kind of kicking ass, right? When you can. So that's awesome. It's cool. And I can imagine Frank's, the exact same way. And I imagine your kids are, if they're not already like that, they're definitely going to grow up to be that same way. You know what I mean? So,
thank you. I really hope so, you know, like,
mhm.
we're, you know, we're just in our 30s, but we're seeing the benefit of being consistent and just investing in yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Not
Hmm.
not stopping. Like, we never stopped. We never stopped, you know, fortunately, Frank, it was his career, right? Like, Frank had to stay in shape for his
Yeah.
career, and then now too, he's a coach, so same, and he competes still.
Yeah.
Me, I guess, like, I saw my mom always doing her workout videos. Like, growing up, I would
Oh,
watch
okay.
doing her it's called The Firm. She would do the Firm, like, workout videos and stuff like that. So, I grew up seeing her doing it. So, in high school, I started doing it, and then, of course, I like my body looking a certain way.
Mhm.
So, I just continued that path till this day, and then, of course, I started playing sports and whatnot, but, like, I really, really hope Frank and I always talk about this, like, I want that for my children. I want them to be healthy.
Yeah.
'Cause if they're not healthy, are they
There's
gonna
so
be
many
able
doors that
to,
are
like
closed.
there's
Yeah.
yeah, so many, like, the only
Hmm.
reason Frank and I are able to do what we do constantly is because we have the capability to do it. We can move, we can stand for hours, we can travel, we can, you know, have, like, 3 hours of sleep and still wake up and do what we need to
Just
do,
get
you
after
know?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want that for my children. I want them to go and travel and see the world and take risks and, you know, compete or do whatever
Hmm.
they want, but you have to be I can't imagine not being healthy and doing what we're doing. Like, it must be, like, 10 times harder, you know? So,
Yeah.
of course, and then on top of that, like, being unhealthy and maybe having some kind of illness, like, I would be so sad and heartbroken if my children, you know, that happened. Of course, no parent wants to see their child sickly, but
Hmm.
I'm just hoping, like, through all of this, and, you know, we're still young, um, that they are gonna carry that on throughout their life, you know?
Yeah. I love
Yes.
that. I love, again, it goes back to just being such great parents and really thinking of your kids, but also not neglecting yourself. Um, I want to ask, what's a piece of advice you have for constantly showing up? Like, because motivation, right, is fleeting, but discipline is what's going to keep you there. It's going to keep you grounded, right? And so, what advice do you have? Would you have for somebody who is having trouble just kind of sticking with it, right? Can maybe work out for, a couple of days and then just lose motivation because they're so tired. Like, what advice
Mhm.
would you give to that person?
What really helps is having a partner or your
Mhm.
community. You know, it really, whether it's a team or your other half or your friends, like that plays a huge role because then you have accountability. And then too, like, you guys are motivating each other, like, I'm Frank's accountability partner, because like,
Love that. Yeah.
I thank God, like, I will still go through it. I will wake up and I will hit my outside gym no matter how I feel. It's just because, like,
Mhm.
I think I know that if I don't, I am horrible. Like, my mood is horrible. I'm so
Mhm.
mean, like, and
Yeah.
I want to have a bad day. I want to have a good day. Right. Like, it's
Mhm.
kind of a selfish thing. Like, I want to have a good day so that everyone else can have a good day. So I'm going to go up and work out. But Frank needs a little bit more motivation sometimes. And that's where I come in. I'm like, "Hey, let's go.
I'm up.
We're
You
ready.
gotta get up too.
Let's go. Come
Yeah.
on." Like, get your socks and shoes on, and I
Mhm.
can feel it sometimes where you're just like, "Oh, I just wanna sleep," and I'm like, "No, we need to do this," because the moment you push it off, push it off, push it off, then that you're just further, further, further deep where it's hard to pull yourself out, right? So, like,
Yeah.
and I know that. I know that feeling. And I've seen it happen to my husband too, where he'll just like be so exhausted, he's got such a long week and he's just,
Mhm.
lacking on sleep. And then I will remind him like if that happens. And then I could just see his spirit just being like, oh man. And then even he'll say things that he doesn't typically say, like
Mhm.
just like I don't know what to do right now. Like there's something that happened and I'm like, you know why? Because you didn't work out, like, it's so weird. It's so
Yeah, you didn't
true.
break a sweat today.
Yeah,
Mhm.
honestly, it sounds crazy, right? But it's like there is definitely a correlation. It be I know it's like chemistry, mentally, everything, like, when you
Mhm.
exert energy and you activate these hormones, it's like your brain and your body is, like,
All the
alive.
endorphins that just kinda come out
Endorphins.
after. Yeah.
Yeah, everything, and then he's just in a better spirit, he's more motivated, he's
Mhm.
moving around the kitchen faster, so when a problem comes, it's like, "Okay, well, I know the solution," or, "We're gonna come up
Yeah.
with a solution," but
Mhm.
when it's just like, "Oh, I'm tired," or, "I'm just gonna eat," or, "I'm just gonna sleep," it's like, "Oh, man, I don't know what to do." It's like,
Yeah.
"Don't worry," and then I have to get into those places where I'm like, "It's okay, babe, we'll figure it out," and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and then I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Wanna work out or are we gonna go
We're still
outside?"
gonna are we still go yeah, yeah, we're still gonna
Or
show
it's
up.
in the
Gym's
rain.
just outside. We're not driving anywhere. Yeah.
No excuse,
Exactly, yeah.
I can't
It's
imagine
cool.
if we
No,
had to
good.
go travel to the gym, like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can see how that would be so hard. I
Yeah.
can see how that can be so hard because you gotta, you know, plan time and travel and kids
Yeah.
and everything. That's why we invested in equipment, like, whether it's Facebook Marketplace or wherever,
Mhm.
we have to. This is my hospital, This is my
Mhm.
therapy. And I'm pointing outside because my gym is
Yeah.
right outside. Like, it's right there.
Yeah.
Like, this investment is, like, I it's the reason why we're able to accomplish so much,
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
we're getting our kids involved, it's like, now they're with us in
I
the
saw
morning.
that. Yeah, I see a lot of your stories and stuff. Mhm.
Yeah, so what an investment,
That's cool. Yeah. It's one of those things where because you guys are choosing to work out, right? You guys are choosing to sort of suffer. And so this hard thing that you're choosing to do, you're voluntarily choosing to do, because you're able to really just kind of put yourself through it and then overcome it. I feel
Mhm.
like it almost makes the involuntary hard things, whether it's like just a long week or a hard day or whatever it is, the things outside of your control, it makes those things just a little bit easier, right?
Yeah.
It's like that saying of, I'm going to butcher it and I barely know it, but sort of, you got to eat the frog in the morning kind of thing, right? And it's like you just do the hard thing. I don't know if you've heard it,
I never heard
but
that
it's
before.
you never heard it. I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna let you know exactly what it is because I know it sounds weird, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
basically the idea is like, especially in the morning, like you just do like
Yeah.
the hardest thing that you need to do that day in the morning, and then
Yeah.
everything else, you kind of as like the domino effect just becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
And the fact that, yeah, you guys are choosing to do these things and you know that, like you said earlier, you know what you're like when you don't, right?
Yeah.
and you don't like that, not just for a selfish thing of like, I want to have good days, but you know that when you do have good days, your energy, speaking of the energy thing, right, resonates with those around you.
Yeah.
And it's it's a price to pay. I don't know if you're how much you're into other forms of fitness, but there's this CrossFitter. His name's Josh Bridges, and he has a whole thing where it's called "Pay the Man." And
Good.
basically, the idea behind it is like rent's due every day, right? So the fact that you have to pay the man, you have to pay him every single day, and so you can't almost like you can't take a day off, but like you got to keep showing up, you got to keep putting in the work. And so it sounds the same with you guys. You know, every day. Again, I'm going to find out what that saying is, but every day you guys are eating that frog. So um, that's so
Yeah.
cool. It's cool that it's something that again all you guys are doing. But I like what you were saying as far as advice of having whether it's a partner or a community, but it gives you
Yeah.
that sense of community and accountability. And
Mhm.
then it's also just, you're not doing it alone, right? I think that's why, in my opinion, CrossFit, or even High Rocks nowadays, but like those things got really, really big because it's the shared suffering. Or I
Yeah.
can imagine jujitsu or team sports, because when you
Yeah.
got to go and, do this all on your own, it sucks sometimes. Sometimes it's good because you need to kind of just like, face your demons a little bit, but other
Yeah.
times it's not. That's why like nowadays, run clubs are such a huge thing
Yeah.
because you can go run alone, but man, it gets
Yeah.
kind of lonely. I run alone all the time and
Yeah.
I like it. It's my sort of space, but
Mhm.
um yeah, having a partner or a group of people, it makes it just so much easier. And you know that you're not the only one who wants to get better and is giving it your all, because I think a lot of people kind of just choose not to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Be it in their control or not. But man, it's so cool. It's inspiring. And I think I'd mentioned this to you, and I think I'd mentioned it to Frank. But you guys are such an inspiration to me,
Oh,
to my wife, when we see it, because I remember this was a little while ago, but you had posted you doing the pull-ups just at home, and you were cranking them out. Pun intended. But you were really going at it, and I'm like, wow. And it's one of those things where, especially I can imagine as a woman, right, being strong. I think that's amazing. You're setting such a great example. So basically, what I'm saying is, props to you, props to Frank. You guys are an amazing couple and amazing parents, and for me, I know that, and my wife, huge inspirations. So thank
thank
you.
you. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
for
do
sure.
wanna, like, go back to what you were saying about, when you work out in the morning, your frog thing, okay? The reason why I wanna say this is because it's very true, and whoever is working or whoever is watching and is, like, needs some motivation. So, when I work out here, right, we have, like, a list, like, Frank writes down the workout, and a lot of the times it sucks, right? It's just like, sometimes he'll write it, and I'm like, "Really? 6 6 times?" Like, in my head, like, I don't say it out loud
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
I can totally do 6, you know, but I'm like, "Ah." But, like, I mentally give up at 3 reps.
Mhm.
3 sets, right? Like, I'm like, "I have to do 3 more?" In my mind. In my mind, I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna stop at 4." And I'll just tell Frank, "Oh, I gotta go in and cook breakfast or something," you know, like,
Yeah.
I'm just, like, making up
Some
excuses
other
for
excuse.
myself.
Yep.
There's no way I'm gonna like, today is just a hard day, like, "Oh, man, I'm still sore from last night's training," or whatever, right? Like, I'm just telling myself all these things, all these excuses, right? But then I hit 4, and I'm like, "Okay, okay, 5." At 5, I'm gonna tell him, like, "No,
Call
my
it.
chest
Yeah.
hurt my chest hurts, I have a cough, there's someone's burning trash around here, I can smell
You
it,
didn't
it's a
smell that? Yeah.
you don't smell that, like, I'm already, like, in my head, like, giving up, like, or my body is giving up, and then I'm like, "You know what? Stop being a little bitch," like, we're gonna hit like, 5 sets go by, and then I'm like, "Okay, I can do this last set.
One more.
6,
Last set, best set.
1
Yeah.
last." So, like, by the end, I'm, like, dead, we're lying down on the ground, and we're lying in sweat, and we're just kinda like, "Oh my god, we did it." And he
Mhm.
doesn't know this mental challenge I'm going through. Like, he doesn't know anything about it. It's all within me, right? And
Mhm.
he's probably going through the same thing because this shit's hard. So like every day that we hit it, we're we're mentally exercising.
Yeah.
We're completing and attacking and achieving goals mentally that we thought we couldn't. They were so hard. But we
Mhm.
did it. And it's like the body and the mind is so much stronger than we think it is. And so
Yeah.
through, like you were saying, like throughout the day, something difficult comes up. You're like,
It's
what
easy.
do you,
Just walk in the
yeah,
park.
like that's it. Did you know what I had
Yeah.
to do earlier? That's
Mhm.
it.
I did
Like
6 rounds. You don't
I
even
did
know.
6
Yeah.
rounds. And I think that's one thing I would encourage a lot of people. Like, that's one of the best things about exercising is, like, mentally, it makes you just tougher because you gotta battle yourself.
Yeah.
Yourself, no one
Yeah.
else. And then you gotta prove to yourself how much tougher and stronger you are. Every day that you
Mhm.
can you exercise or whatever, and you're just leveling up. Leveling up, leveling up, leveling up, and if you don't have those reps, it makes sense why some people just shut down, when things get
Mhm.
hard or get down on themselves. It's like, man, if you're having these kinds of issues, like, man, I know it sounds weird, but go hit the gym. Go for a run. Go and do
Yeah.
it. I'm telling you, this is the solution. Like, I'm not like a really big fan of medications, because I feel like
Mhm.
there's so much that our body's capable of doing on our own, especially with physical activity, like mind, body, spirit. You are leveling up every time you challenge yourself in that
Yeah.
so I don't know. I feel
Love
like I
that.
needed to like,
No, no,
reiterate
that's
that.
wonderful. I appreciate you just expanding on that, and yeah, it's what you say resonates so much with me, and I can imagine it resonates with a lot of other people, but when you don't wanna do it, it's almost like when you have that's really when you have to do it, you know what I mean? And like you were saying, that it's sort of this, like, this inner bitch, right, that we have, and
Mhm.
if it speaks to the whole accountability thing, right? If Frank writes down 6 sets, you're like, "Man, but I'm only used to doing 3." You know what I mean? So I have to basically do double what I am used to doing, and I think a lot of times we set and I know this from, I've tried my best to stay in shape throughout the years and stuff, and I like a lot of solo workouts, right? That's typically what I do, but there are times too where I've had, like, gym partners or I've had running partners or whatever, and you get so used to working out on your own and kind of setting the pace or setting the bar for yourself, and it's like, yeah, just I'm not feeling that well, so I'm just going to do this. You kind of get used to your own company, and then you forget that part of this whole thing is challenging and growing from challenge, right? And you get kind of scared to do it too because you're like, I can't do it, right? I can only do
Yeah.
3 sets. So having somebody with you, it's more of like, I know you're capable of 6 sets. You know what I mean? I know you can do it. And so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
awesome. It's awesome that you guys have that. And yeah, having a home gym, I think it makes a huge difference. And even if you don't have a full setup like you guys have, I think you can definitely make it possible with just your body, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of calisthenic movements are really good. I remember, years ago wanting to have like a really big bench press and then asking myself, like, wait, before I do that, how many push-ups can I do? You know what I mean? Like, how
Mhm.
many good push-ups? Or, a very popular exercise in the gym is like the lat pull down, right? And it's like, yeah, I can, crank out X amount of reps with this weight. I can do the full stuff, whatever it is, right? But then it's like, yeah, but how many good pull-ups can you do? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I think with the use of like social media and stuff, it's nice because it does educate people, but it also opens up that door, many doors, I think, of like comparison. And so it's like, oh, well, these guys are, this person has like this amazing home gym or they're so accomplished and physically fit that like the barrier, or the kind of entry level of like, this is just my day one, it
Mhm.
makes it so much harder. With having to go to the gym, right? Having to drive there, making arrangements, setting time, going when it's not so crowded,
Yeah.
and, yeah, just having your own home gym or just doing kind of bodyweight stuff is nice because you can kinda do it anywhere. But man, this has been a really cool conversation so far. I love
I'm
hearing.
sorry. I know it's like
No,
so many different directions I'm
I
taking
don't
you, like taking on a
you're
ride.
fine. Yeah, I'm enjoying the ride, or is more aptly, I'm enjoying my stay, you know what I mean? And
Oh, okay,
it's
okay,
cool
good.
to just kinda know more about what you're into, and that's really the point of the show is to get to know people and shine the spotlight on them, you know what I mean? So continuing with that, I do wanna ask you, what does a perfect day look like?
Okay, a perfect day. Um, I try and make my days as perfect as possible. I mean, perfect as in doing what I wanna do, okay?
Mhm,
And for those of you who maybe don't know who I am or my husband or my family, like, we like to do what we wanna do, okay? So, I recently just pulled my kids out of school, and I'm homeschooling them. Well, I will be homeschooling them because I'm waiting for their homeschool to arrive. So we've just been like they've been homeschooling and learning how to fold clothes and cleaning the kitchen and doing all kinds of
yeah,
like life
things you don't
skills.
know and learn in school, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'm
mhm,
like, I'm teaching them some life skills and also teaching them how to help me out because mama has 4 kids and it's been tough. So my I try to make our days how we want it, right? So
mhm.
a perfect day would be waking up with all my kids. Actually, wait, a perfect day would be letting my kids sleep in, having some alone time with daddy,
Okay, there
and
we go.
then, just get out of the way, and
Yep,
then, waking up the kids, and then hitting the gym, um, working out as a family, finishing that up, showering up, cooking breakfast, and my son, Rocky, his job is to make rice, so I would tell him to make rice and maybe some eggs because he's really good at making eggs. And then my daughter Catalina, she's good at making coffee, so I'll have her make coffee for Frank and I.
mhm.
Um, and then we'll eat breakfast and maybe pack up some snacks and then hit the beach and hang out at the beach, maybe get the cousins to come so the kids can go and play and mommy and daddy can break open a beer and enjoy the view.
There you go.
um, be at the beach, and then we can start a fire. I'm listing all the things I did on my birthday, by the way. Start a fire,
Perfect
get
day, yeah.
perfect day, get some marshmallows, roast the marshmallows, enjoy the sunset, and then pack up the kids and go eat some Korean barbecue
Ooh,
so that, mommy doesn't have to cook and clean,
better to
and
eat out so you're not having to do
eat out,
dishes, yeah.
Korean barbecue, and then, come back home and put on a movie and then go to sleep. And all my kids sleep with me and my husband, by the way. We have a king and a queen bed smashed together.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I wish they'd sleep in their own room, but at the same time,
Mhm.
I love having all my kids with me. I'm just like
Yeah,
I'm like in this like phase where I just wanna like be with my family all the time, all the
yeah,
time.
well,
Them. But there are times where mommy wants to go and go grocery shopping or get some coffee with her
just
friend,
need my own time. Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, so, that would be like a perfect day, and those
I
I
love that,
try
yeah.
that's kind of like what my days look like, That's
Yeah,
it and something that I would like to add is, like, I was just talking with Frank, like, Frank and I, we like to have these, like, deep conversations where it's like heaven, right? We talk about heaven. Like, what is heaven like? Like the marketing for heaven is, oh, we got to do good so we can add treasures in heaven, right? And I'm
mhm,
like, I really don't care about treasure. Like treasure to me, gold, bags, all these like luxury things, I could care less. Like my treasure is my family, like being with my husband and my children, being here in my home, like this is heaven. Like my
Mhm.
current life, I'm trying to create heaven. You know, like if I die and my husband's not there, what the heck am I gonna do? You know, like
Yeah.
what am I live in this castle without like freaking what the heck? You know, this what is
Uh,
this? You know? So like Frank and I were just talking about that. Like heaven is like on earth, you know, like we
mhm.
gotta try and create heaven on earth with our children, with the things that we want to be surrounded with. Like like let's work towards building a deck so we can enjoy the sunset in our backyard, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
Like that's heaven, you know? So
Yeah.
these are it's like but in order to do that, we gotta work hard, we gotta make good decisions, you know, let's just stay on this
Mhm,
path. You know, it's like at the same time, like follow God's word in the Bible if you want to get into like religion, you know,
mhm.
don't lie, don't cheat, don't kill, don't, you know, all those things. If you follow the right path, God will reward you, right? Treasures in heaven. But I feel like heaven is like my reality, you know, like
Yeah. I
same.
love that. Yeah, no, for sure. It's first, I do wanna say your answer to what a perfect day looks like,
Mm.
phenomenal. I love that you experienced that and you were just basically listing out what you did on your birthday.
Yes,
That's amazing. But to kind of on that end point of heaven, right, heaven on earth, it's interesting too because my daughter had recently asked me, "What is heaven?" You know what I mean? And what does heaven look like? And, you know, I'm not the most religious, growing up on Guam, everybody's Catholic, right? Roman Catholic. So I didn't grow up going to church as much. Kind of went every now and then, but had an idea, right? Kind of like an overall idea of like what it means to be a, a person of faith and to live the principles, right, that are taught in the Bible.
Mm,
But I basically told her, I think heaven, if we're not getting too religious, right? Heaven can look sort of different for everybody.
mm,
And there's kind of two parts to it. There's one part, the first part is to kind of figure out what heaven looks like for you. And then the
mm,
second part is not just thinking that it's this thing that's going to happen when you die, right? But like to your point of recreating that here on earth while you still can. And I love
mhm,
that your heaven on earth is being with the people you love. And I love that your days now look like that. You'd mentioned you're kind of in this phase of wanting to be with your kids and your family. And I think from your story, what you said sounds like because back then when the kids were going to school and they were going to basketball practice and then jujitsu and then home late cooking dinner, all this stuff, you know what it's like not being around them all this, all
mhm,
for this much. And it's kind of the same thing of like, you know what you're like when you don't work out, right? So it's awesome that it all comes together. I do want to ask you though,
mhm.
what's your favorite beach on Guam?
So right now, okay, maybe like a year and a half ago, my parents they bought a beach in Inarahan. Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so that's become my favorite beach.
Mhm.
It's this private little lagoon area in Inarahan past Gadal's Cave. And we're just kind of making it our own. It used to be like jungle, but the guys got in there and cut down trees and cleared it up. And it's like a little tropical oasis. And like, we got some swings that were hanging out. We're like
Oh,
just
nice.
yesterday we hooked up a couple new swings that we got for Christmas. And then today, after this podcast, we're gonna go and hook up a zip line that we
Oh my
bought on
gosh.
Amazon. I
Okay.
know. It's kinda like making it our own, you know, like
Yeah.
eventually we're working like once my friend comes back on island, we're gonna try and build a pala pala so that we're not running to the car when it's raining anymore because it's
Yeah.
there's no shelter. So anyway,
Yeah, just
but
need something a little bit more, like, permanent, right? So you could just
a
hang
little bit
out.
more permanent. They built a
Yeah.
little outhouse there, maybe last month. So it's slowly becoming like a
Mhm.
little piece of home.
Love
But yeah,
that.
yeah, we were just there last night until like 9 PM. just
Uh-huh.
roasting marshmallows. And then, like I said earlier, like I have my 2 nephews with us, so there's 6 kids.
Yeah.
And, when the fire went down, there was no lights. It was just stars, and it was a really clear night last night, and so the kids were just running around and playing
Yeah.
tag in the dark, and
Mhm.
my nephews are like, How come we're still here?" And I'm like, "So you guys go and run in the jungle, like, just
Don't ask
go.
why, just
Go
go
on, just
have enjoy
go,"
it,
you know?
yeah.
So then
Mhm.
they're like, "Okay," and the kids, I want my kids to have those memories, like, if anything, how old are you, Joe?
I'm 30.
You're 30. Okay, so
Yeah.
you didn't you didn't grow up in the '90s, you grew up in the
Like,
1000s.
early 2000s, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay,
I'm a
okay, so
millennial, yeah.
you young. But,
But you said you and Frank are in your 30s, right?
yeah, I just turned 38
There you
last week.
go. Yes, happy belated.
Thank you, and so, like, we had a great childhood, like, growing up and exploring and, like, building horrible ladders on trees that were so dangerous and
Yeah.
falling and then learning, "Oh,
Mhm.
okay, well, that was
Don't do
wrong,"
that.
"Don't do that," and
Yep.
so, we want that for our kids because it taught us a lot and, now we're just kinda designing and building this beach to be like a home away from home, so it's
Love
fun.
that, yeah.
We're just, like we're like putting our hands in the dirt and
Mhm.
the hands on the machetes and the freaking,
Yeah, yeah.
all doing all the labor to make it, what we want is what makes it my favorite.
That's a beautiful answer. That's awesome that you said a year and a half ago, right? Your parents bought
Yeah,
the
about a
place?
year and a half ago. So it's come a long way. It's come a long
Mhm.
way. And I mean, the kids just they're just in the dirt and in the sand, like
Yeah.
they were taking sticks and making it the fire on the end and, like, doing, like, carving in like, I don't even know what
Yeah.
they're doing, but they're doing something,
Just
and
being kids and just having fun. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yes,
awesome.
it's fun, and I'm excited to see when we get things.
The end product, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that's
Especially
cool.
the
Man,
zip
that
line
is
today. I'm
yeah, oh
excited
yeah,
about
that'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing whatever you post and it'd be so cool to just yeah, that's nuts that you guys are planning to do a whole zip line. So, but man, awesome answer. Let
it.
me ask you, so I kind of have a sense of what you're gonna answer, but I'll let you answer it nonetheless. What does a good life look like?
Um, being surrounded by people that we love, doing what we love, and being healthy. That's
Love
my
that.
short answer.
That's great. I mean, like I said, with a lot of what you've talked about already, with what
Mm.
you're currently into and what your days look like, it already sounds like you're living out those perfect days, but also, across time, you're living out that good life. So great answer. Um, one final question for you, and this is kind of it's fitting because it's also at the end of the interview, but what do you want to do before you die?
I think one of my biggest goals, and I would love to do this before I die, like way before
Mhm.
I die, uh, is
Well, you're
to
still nice and young. Yeah.
nice and young, is to learn and understand and speak Chamorro. Yeah.
Love that. I love that that's a goal that you have. It's also sounds attainable, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's not
it
some
absolutely
far off
is.
thing.
It
Yeah.
absolutely is.
Nice. Have
That
you
was a great
taken
goal.
any, like, lessons, or is there anybody, like, that you're kinda learning from?
So back long time ago in 2011, I graduated from UOG and I learned some basic Chamorro at the Chamorro language class there.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the most Chamorro I ever learned and continue to learn is in my mother-in-law's house in Saipan whenever I'm
Uh,
there. And they just speak it.
uh-huh.
They just speak it 24/7. My husband understands it. He speaks pretty well.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, yeah, but he, I grew up always hearing Chamorro in Guam, always, because my mom and my grandparents would always speak, right? So
Mhm.
I don't experience that anymore here. ever,
Mm,
and not
mhm,
not in my family. My mom doesn't speak to her siblings in Chamorro. I don't even know if they speak it, aside from maybe her cousins, but I'm never around
mm,
extended
mhm.
family enough, right? On my everyday daily life, I'm with,
Yeah.
my children, the gym, the house, So I think a good way, and Frank and I have talked about this, is like maybe going to Rhoda for like 6 months,
Just
and like
immersing yourself in yeah.
immersing ourselves, like having our kids like go to school and we'll just like live there for like 4 to 6 months and
Mhm.
try and I mean, that would be like the perfect way for me to learn. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's how I learn better,
It's the
and I
jujitsu thing, right?
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, Saipan 2 can, but the kids aren't speaking like they are in Rhoda, you know? Like, they go
Mm,
to the
m'kay.
schools, you go to any event, like, any event. I've been to Rhoda quite a few times, but anytime there's any kind of, like, gathering or
Mhm.
a festival, they're not speaking in English. Like, when you go and they're like, "Half a day, everyone. Welcome to Chamorro Festival," it's like,
Yeah.
it's pure Chamorro. And I'm like,
Yeah, the most Chamorro you hear is half a day, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
English or whatever, right? Like, I'm like,
Mhm.
this is so cool. So then I'm sitting there and I'm just like trying to like dissect, like if anything, when I'm in the car, if I'm not listening
Mhm.
to my lo-fi music off my Spotify, I am
Mhm.
playing the Chamorro station because
Love
I'm
that.
always trying to like, like trying to understand what the lyrics are. And I also too
Mhm.
want my kids,
Just to be
hearing it.
exposed to yeah.
Hearing it. They're never gonna hear it unless they're in Saipan, to be
Mhm.
honest, So,
Yeah.
the only time they can is in the car, or when
Yeah,
we
yeah.
visit grandma and grandpa, but I'm be doing them such a disservice to not expose them to their language, So,
Yeah.
that would be, like,
I
such
love
an
that.
goal to just go to Rhoda,
Yeah.
"Okay, guys, peace out,
Uh,
we'll be back, we're gonna go learn some
just
tomorrow."
yeah, if you need me for the next 6 months, you know where I'll be. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's so cool though. That yeah, and you said so Frank, he understands Chamorro and he speaks a little bit, you said? Or like good
Speak
enough?
I think he speaks pretty fluent, he says, "Oh,
Nice.
I don't." I'm like, "No, wait, bro, like, you
He's probably
speak
just being humble.
tomorrow." No, you speak
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. That's awesome. That's so cool. I love that that's a goal for you, something you wanna do, yeah, well before you die. What's something else on the bucket list?
I guess, travel a little bit more, travel with my
Mhm,
family. Um, I want my kids to also see the world, but I would like to be there with them, I'm a
mhm.
little bit
Yeah.
scared. I'm a little bit scared about the world right now with children, so I'm
Yeah.
like, I wanna, like, keep them on leashes and, like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing too that I've gotten from our conversation today is you and Frank are raising capable kids, you know what I mean? You guys are raising kids that aren't afraid to just go out and explore, but are smart enough to not just completely throw caution to the wind and just be like, "Well, there's no consequences to anything I do."
Yeah.
And it sounds like you guys both very much embody that play, that exploration, and it's something you guys are handing down to the kids. So cool. I think traveling as a family is awesome. Is there any place in particular you want to go to?
I would love to go to Africa. I wanna go to
Oh,
Af
okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just wanna go on a safari
Hmm.
and, like, when I see videos of people just camping out and watching the sunset on the safari with, like, the giraffes' heads,
Yeah, just
like
kind of like yep.
yeah, they do that with the tree and the
Yep.
sun, like, I
Very
would
picturesque.
eating, like, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. It's so
Mhm.
funny because people in Africa are like, "I wanna go to the beach and, like,
Yeah.
sunset,"
I
it's
want to get
like
out of here. Yeah.
I know, but I would oh my gosh, like, what a dream. It's gonna
That's
happen.
awesome.
It's gonna happen
Yeah.
one day,
Yeah. Yeah,
though.
if you continue to well, when you fully learn Chamorro, I'll try to
Mhm.
do the same. Maybe we can have another episode and we'll just speak Chamorro.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Or if you guys go to Africa, when you guys go to Africa, come back. Aw.
I know
But
the kid.
no, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, no, I think those are amazing things, amazing, goals and stuff. But otherwise, I'll let you go. It sounds like Frank and the kids are home. But I do want to say before we go, is there anything we can expect from you? Anything you guys got going on?
Well, next month. Oh, well, we'll be in Oregon, I think, for Mariana's Fest.
Oh,
So
okay, in August.
in August, but next month in March, we're
Nice.
going to California for Chelu Fest.
I
And
saw. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll be there and we're taking all the kids. This is our first time as a family is
Ooh,
going as a
okay.
prank. And then we're going to be doing like a road trip all the way to SF. We're doing little tiny like stops at Chamorro joints and doing
Mhm.
pop-ups there and just kind of like having fun with the family. Hopefully it's fun and it's not just pure
Yeah.
chaos, but we'll see.
Yeah. Just trying to keep everyone's heads level and yeah, yeah.
I know,
That's
I know.
so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, that'll be awesome. I hope you guys have a great time at Chetlu Fest and just the road trip too, up to or over to SF. Looking forward to you guys coming out to Oregon for Mariana's Festival. That'll be fun, and I'm hoping my wife and I are able to, and my daughter were able to go out. Oh, they're the kids.
Yeah.
Speaking of, but yeah, love to see what they got going on. Last year's event was crazy. It was so fun.
Yeah,
Um,
it was massive. It was
yeah,
huge.
yeah. We went to the first one the year prior in 24, and it
Uh-huh.
was a good turnout, but nothing in comparison to last year. Last year, it blew our minds. We're like, that's a lot of people, a lot of vendors, and just it's nuts. But yeah, sounds like you got a lot of big things coming up. So with that, Sarah, I want to say I hope you've enjoyed your stay. It's
Yeah.
been such a pleasure talking to you, kind of getting to know you a little bit more. And yeah, otherwise, I'll let you go. But thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me and I'll talk to Frank about having him on.
I mean, it sounds like you're sort of the boss at times, right? And it's like, hey, if you've had a good time here, I'd love to pick his brain about stuff and just get to know him more. But yeah, otherwise, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.